Hello, guys. My name is David Altenor, and I'm the Director of Talent for Hvzida Realty Group. And I'm with Michelle McNeil, one of our amazing agents. So we're going to have a lovely conversation.
Well, thanks, David. I guess just in introduction, I started my career in sales. So I've had a lot of sales experience and then switched into student loan debt collection, which is a lot of fun and a whole nother story, which I did for 17 years. Got to the vice president level, got to there's 750 people on this contract, which is
Wow.
a lot of responsibility, a lot of fun, and a lot of very fast paced. Everything's changing, but also you have to worry about compliance. So it's production with a lot of compliance to it. I don't know if you follow the news, but that whole industry fell apart kind of around COVID with the alleged student loan forgiveness that unfortunately didn't happen, but all of those jobs went away. So at that point, taking all that experience and, where else can I put this? Because I'm not going to go, there's not another job in that same industry, but where can I apply that? And I decided, if I can build a contract, I can build a business. It's actually less complicated than that.
Oh, wow. I think that's true. Amazing.
And so, looking at different options, real estate really appealed to me because it's not really make your own schedule, right? But it's decide how you want to work, who you want to work with, and then working around other people's schedules, as much as possible to do what you need to do for your clients. But it's very different than the background that I had, which is you're always on. First meetings at 6:30 in the morning, you're not done until 8-9 o'clock at night, and that's 6 days a week.
Wow.
It's a different kind of energy, and you have a lot more control over it. And the thing I didn't see until I actually got into it was how cool it was really going to be to work with individuals or couples or families who are trying to make a very big move. It's a big purchase. It's maybe the biggest purchase they're going to make. It's most people's biggest asset, right? So it's stressful, but it's usually a positive. So they're looking to downsize, or they're looking to get a bigger home, or they're looking to get their first home, or this is a second home and they've made it to the point in whatever their path is that they get this vacation home that they've always wanted, so it's an adventure for them, but it's also a big win, right? This is something for most people they've worked hard for a while to get to, and to get to be a part of that, it's just very cool experience. Also very positive. Stressful, sure. They're not always hearing the news that they want to hear, and sometimes you do have to make a difficult phone call and give somebody news that they don't want to hear. No, we wanted to win, and you can't always win. It's not always going to be the yay, you got it call, which those are amazing, right? Sometimes you have to make the other, but the worst calls are still better than the best calls in collection. So it's just so much more positive energy. So for me personally, a really good move.
Wow. That's great. And I appreciate you sharing that. And you've been gracious enough to allow me to be on a call with you as well, too. So I got to watch you work, which is really cool to see. And, this is really interesting. When you piqued my interest when you mentioned you went from the executive level to what you do now, from working in collections to working with families. And how was that transition? Was that a challenging transition? Did it take you a while to get adjusted? For those who are watching and maybe curious, or was it easy?
No, actually, it feels like it should have, right? But everything was new. So one of the things I really liked about my career in collections, which maybe isn't everybody's story, but I always had something new. There was always, there's another promotion, there's a different level of responsibilities, hey, can we do this new thing? Hey, nobody else has done this. Can we do it? Can you figure this out? Hey, you know what? We're going to be new on the contract. We need a training program. No one else can write it. Do you think you could write it? Sure.
Wow.
So I was always saying yes to a new, exciting adventure. So this really wasn't different. That's just me. I like the figure it out, the problem solving. So a whole new industry is all new stuff, right? The rules are different. What you have to know is different. Contracts aren't just contracts. I mean, contract law is a whole nother subject, right? But the kind of contracts that you're going over are very different. What you need to know is different. So it's like drinking from a fire hose, right? All this
Yeah.
new information. In that way, it was really similar. And this is very personal, right? But I look at it kind of as a mom, right? I am a mom. I have kids, they're grown, but the people who I hired, the people who worked for me on the contract, like I want them to be successful. I want them to like their jobs. So always caring about that next step. That's not any different than these are my clients and I want them to have what they want. I want them to enjoy the experience. And however many years later, I want them to still love the house they picked, So it's that same caring or that same emotion. It's just facilitating it in a different way. But I didn't find it to be that much different. Now, is there a difference in the stress? Yes. I'm not carrying the weight of 750 jobs.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just me, so that stress level is very different. And that's a bonus, honestly. It all did right when the jobs go away. Those aren't fun calls to make. And so I don't have to do that. That's never going to happen here. So is that a bonus? Yes. But everything else, it's very relatable.
Wow. I thought that was really beautiful, the language you used, being a mother, associating that with what you do and taking care of your clients. So that makes me think about another question of working with a team and being supported and I guess cared for. Actually, that's great language. How is it like? Why did you decide to be part of a team when obviously you could be a solo agent? You're a rock star. You do a lot. And why did you decide to be part of a team? What makes being part of Hvizda great?
So I built teams. That's what I did. I, built small teams, grew the teams, build a new team. You know what? Let's open up a new office in another state, build a team. Being part of a team and building a team, that was probably the best part of my collections career. I wasn't giving that up. And to be a solo agent, that's great. If that's for you, if that's your personality, like that's wonderful. That's not me. Like I really want to be part of a bigger group that has purpose. So yes, we all need to pay our bills and we all want to make enough money to do that without having the stress of where's that next whatever coming from. Of course, I think that's true in every industry. But what else are you accomplishing? You could do anything. The skills in sales can apply anywhere. You've chosen this. Why? And I interviewed with multiple groups and teams, and that's what I liked about Hvizda. It wasn't just, here's how the splits work, here's how we bring the leads in, here's what the expectations are. Is that part of the conversation? Of course it is. This is a sales job. You can call it whatever you want, but this is a sales job. And you're going to have those conversations, right? But the team, so Mike and Ryan and Chris and Alicia are so concerned with how you grow as a person. And if you're willing to have those conversations, if you're willing to be honest and you're willing to be vulnerable with actually opening yourself up, you can grow so much as a human being. And then you can help other people do the same thing. And if that's what you want, there are other options, right, nationwide, I'm sure, but that's pretty unique as a focus. And that's what drew me to the team. There was no one else I interviewed with who was even close to having that kind of value system and, serious concern. It sounds cliche, I know. People say it's like a family. And when that's, in some cases, a big corporate red flag, right? But this really is. And, whatever happens, and I've had deals fall through. I've had situations personally where I'm like, I don't know what to do. And it's not just we'll figure it out. It's how can we help you? And hey, here's this great, resource. Or here, have you looked at this? Or have you read this? And let's read this together and then follow up. It's actually caring. And that's what I really liked about the team. And I have found that to be not just true in the beginning, but more and more true the longer I'm on the team.
Wow.
Which makes sense, right? You get to know people better, you're sharing more, so it gets to be a deeper relationship. And that's why I'm still here. Those are relationships and growth patterns that I don't want to see end. And I get it's not everybody's cup of tea. Some people want to go to work and go home. That's just not me. I want to be part of something bigger.
Wow, that's amazing. And how many years have you been part of the team so far?
3.
Wow, you've done a lot. And one thing I appreciate about you is that you're really straightforward. A lot of folks in these kind of conversations will sugarcoat things and kind of make it seem like it's all easy, but I appreciate that you're so straightforward in every conversation. So one thing I want to ask you, the last question is, for whoever's watching, if there's one piece of advice that you could give them who's maybe curious about that change to becoming an agent or being part of a team, what would you share with them?
So I think getting good at anything is time on task over time, right? And it's practice. So the more experience, the more opportunities that you can get, the more things you're going to see. And you can't learn everything in a classroom. And I think that's true in any industry, but particularly in real estate, you have to meet with people. You have to walk through homes. You have to look at different contracts. You have to figure out how to negotiate in this particular situation. And you're going to run into weird things. And you're going to run into, this is a once in every 10 years you'll see this. The more of that you can get in the shortest period of time, the better you're going to be. So if you want to make that a long process, great, cool, that's for you. If you want to make that a short process and get as much as you can in a short period of time, you got to be on a team, because then you get not just whatever deals you're putting together, whatever transactions you're experiencing, but you get to hear about everyone else's too. And if you're doing, say, 25 transactions a year, but the team's doing 150, how are you going to learn faster? You're going to learn faster if you get all the experience of the whole team. You're just going to be better quicker. And that's not, like I said, it's maybe not for everybody, but if that's what you want, if you want to be the best you that you can be as quickly as possible, highly recommend you find the right team for you. Oh,
that's amazing. Well, Michelle, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it, and how open and how vulnerable you are. And of course, you're a straight shooter, which is great.
Well, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate your time.
Awesome. For those of you who are maybe curious or wondering about joining a team, I'd love to have a conversation with you at david@hvizdateam.com. And just feel free to reach out or tap in.